Hello everyone, my name is Carlton Brunton. I run Brunton Media. We're a marketing agency here in Salisbury and we promote local businesses. So one of the main reasons, I'll give you a little bit of background on me and then I'll shut up about me because that's not the point of the talk. But the point of the talk for me is to help you understand how you can use fundamentals of marketing to be in a position where you can actually articulate to Salisbury or the wider market what you do and why it's valuable. Now this is going to be very art specific because of the room, right? But these fundamentals could be used across any businesses moving forward, across anything at all. It's about understanding the opportunities you have in your life to be in the position to say, hey, by the way, this is who I help, this is what I do. So, talking about which, who do I help and what do I do? So I started Brunton Media because I saw a need for people who weren't promoting Salisbury enough, right? So for me, it was all about what happens in Salisbury and who's talking about it. And as I started the company, I saw that need. So I started to fill it. I said, well, no one's really creating content in the city centre about what's happening. So the market you'll all be aware of, one of these things. But there was things like the charter fair. Wasn't really happening. Things like the wedding fair that's coming up. Again, wasn't really being promoted or talked about enough. Big things like when Novichok happened, we got some local coverage as a city, but they still weren't showcased. And they were like, yeah, we've got a lovely cathedral. And of course we do. That's beautiful. But it's not about necessarily just the cathedral. What about the market? What about other things that these local businesses do? What about the hidden gems? What about places like the Yard or even localized? New business just opened. How can I help articulate that? So just a show of hands, briefly, who had a conversation today with anyone? Okay, good, most of the room. Who listens to the radio, whether that's on the way here today or in general? Okay, good, another show of the room. Who watched the television at all today? Or consumed a piece of video content, whether that's on social media, through Instagram, LinkedIn, anything like that? So all of these things I just mentioned are ways you've either been marketed to or things you could leverage to market what you do. Today I'm using video. But why is video the most important? I'll briefly go on that. Because with video you can take this piece of video, you can take the audio out. So now you've got a piece of video and a piece of audio. Then you can get it transcribed. So suddenly I've taken this one piece of video and I've gone, okay, I've got this big bit. Then I've got audio, then I've got written. Now this is not meant to intimidate you. There's a lot of things you can do with marketing and communication that I'm going to go over today that some of you will want to do, some of you are not going to want to do, and that's fine. But the point is to choose which one you really enjoy doing and are going to do consistently. Because the key is consistency. It's not about, oh my God, I've done this amazing video and I'm suddenly going to get loads of sales. I wish it was. Trust me, I wish it was. It would make my life a lot easier. But how it actually works in the same with anything with marketing is because I'm consistent with my blog writing. I'm consistent with writing. I'm consistent with posting. I'm consistently showing up. But there is also traditional ways that we have that has that. We've had for a long time. So some of you, I'm sure, read the paper. That's a traditional way of consuming written content. Another way is listening to the radio. This was a traditional way of consuming audio-based content. The analogy I used at the start, TV. What is TV? It's a form of video that's consumed by the nation. Okay? So what we're doing here is there's traditional side of it and then there's a non-traditional side of it. The non-traditional side of it follows the same principles that the traditional side of it does. But the difference is where you put it. So you can speak honestly and openly about why what your art is valuable to you. Because to you put your heart and soul and your work into it. You wouldn't be artists otherwise. Right? Every video I put a bit of my soul into. Because it's about understanding the fundamentals of why you're doing it and why do you think it's valuable. Right? So for me, when I promote a piece of Salisbury, what am I doing? I'm saying to the world, hey, this is a city I love, and I'm trying to promote it to the wider internet, the wider world, the wider community. You can do the same thing. But you're going to get people who are going to say, oh, I don't like that. So how do you deal with them? How do you have that? Are you in a world where that's going to knock your confidence? Or are you going to say, okay, that's fine. One of the fundamental things in marketing is you're not wanting to talk to everyone. You're only wanting to talk to a specific set of people. Now, everyone's set of people is going to be different, right? That's okay. And you don't necessarily need to know 100% what age they are, what race they are, etc. You can go into that if you're looking for targeted advertising. Yes, right? It gets very complicated, very sciencey. Not going to go into that today. But the point is, certain language is going to connect and not connect with other people. So how I come across to you will be very different to if I was in a room full of lawyers, or in a room full of dentists, or in a room full of etc. Right? Depending on who I'm talking to. So the language I use and what I talk about and what I focus on is what's going to be important. So choose, just to quickly summarize what I've talked about already, choose a medium. If you're enjoying writing, great. Post however frequently you can and stick to that routine. So if you're going to post once a week, post once a week. This could be on social media, this could be on your news feeds, whatever it may be, wherever your distribution platform of choice is, do that consistently. Now, I talked about at the start of this talk how traditional and non-traditional work together. Some of the time, if you are really looking at marketing overall, you try to leverage as many of these little sectors as possible, right? So we'll do a video, we'll then put some audio out, we'll then do some written content, we'll then be in the paper, we'll then be on telly, we'll then this. And what we're doing is we're talking about touch points. So in marketing in general, you're talking about the number of touch points in which you have to convert that client, right? So the higher your threshold of sale, so I imagine some of your work is quite expensive, there isn't anything wrong with that. Right? But I imagine people are going to come up to you and go, how much? How much? No. I can't possibly pay that. But what they're not necessarily understanding is the work, the energy, the time, and the skill that goes into what you guys create. Right? Because I can't do what you do in the same way you can't do what I do, or directly the same. And that's the point. There is no other competition. Right? Because arguably some people come into this room and say, oh, there's competition in this room because you all do art. Technically, you're all competitors then. Are you? No. Because someone's going to have one piece that's very different. Someone's going to have another piece that's very different. And to me, as a buyer, I might go, I love that, but I hate that. Okay. So suddenly, you want to talk to the person who said, I love that. But you don't have an issue with alienating the person who said, oh, I hate that. Because they may hate that piece, they might love the next piece. So it's about understanding who and what are the fundamental characteristics of that person who says, I love that. Because they will connect with each other. They will be, oh, okay, so a lot of females have come and said they like this piece, right? Okay, so now you're like, okay, so I need to talk feminine. I need to connect with females. That's a really simple example, but you can also get really in depth with it. Where's someone's background? Where were they educated? How did they, where is it going to go? Where's their use case? Right, so in a lot of your cases, do you have a gap on the wall you want to fill? I imagine. Do you have something on your mantelpiece, for example? Right? But again, it's about connecting with that person emotionally, because they're making an emotional connection to the piece, like in the same way when you create that piece, you're creating an emotional connection with it. I've nattered on for a little bit too long already, so that's the fundamentals of marketing in a nutshell, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. Thank you very much.